All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a live for you guys and gals. Quick reminder, stay on topic. We're not going to entertain any non-fitness related questions of any type. I'm going to link the Facebook page if you guys will also follow me there. That's also important because that's where you contact me for coaching. All right, I want to announce I have been up 3 slots for new clients only for Black Friday at $50 off. Okay, one of them has been officially filled today. It's already paid for. Another one is in the works. So there's at least one more. However, if it goes past the 3 and they're all put in before the end of the week, before the end of the month, I'll probably still take other people. So just an FYI, I'll do that. Now, also all the way through Black Friday, and I think probably the first week of the new month, I'm going to do $50 off for my normal video calls. Normally I do those at $100 for people there to talk to me for an hour, discuss whatever topics they need to cover. Doesn't matter whether it's nutrition, training, gear talk, gear advice. I do all of those things. Also, occasionally I have someone just do it because they want to talk to their favorite YouTuber, right? And they have to be done through Facebook. So I always want to do a medium to where you can't record it directly. So it has to be through Messenger. Now, that aside, yeah, that's actually going pretty well. Been a couple different inquiries. Definitely one guy who's already completely locked in. He's already paid. I did his today. So again, people are checking those out. And I just announced it a couple days ago. So still a couple days left on that up through the end of the month. Like 3 days left. So if people hop in, get those put in. And like I said, as long as you put the application in and you get the consultation fee, the $25 covered up front, I'll lock you in. All right. So veiny today, though. We are really veiny. You guys, of course, saw the deadlift vlog. All of that's up. I'm down another pound. So the scale is trickling down, which is good. It's probably, again, getting used to the extra cardio finally, keeping the carbs low. And of course, I've added some potassium to my diet. I'm doing a lot more electrolytes. I've been adding like 2 to 3 grams of potassium salts to my water every day. There's some in here too, and that will help with that. Quite a bit. So I've been mixing into my gallon jug that I make sure I drink every day, in addition to my coffee, my protein shakes, other stuff. I've been adding like 3 grams of potassium to it. For the last few days, and I feel like that's starting to finally help there. Again, taking some of that extra water off. So again, a lot of that's inflammation. A lot of it's inflammation, I think, from adjustments in the diet, also from adding all the extra cardio, adding the extra training volume. And people have to remember that training volume itself creates inflammation. All right, this is a little earlier, I think, than a lot of these I do, so people may not be expecting this. We'll see what we get in here for people's and how the flow of this goes. So also, I guess another topic I may want to cover if no one jumps in. I mentioned in a thing, and I made a post about it, and I might cover that in some other videos. You know, the whole definition of junk food. People say you can't define junk food. I think we can totally define junk food. Right? Junk food, any food that has been processed in such a way that it dramatically lowers fiber or protein content. And I would say that if we want to talk on the junk food continuum, any refined food that has nearly zero or zero, both protein and fiber concurrently, particularly as a result of its processing, counts as a junk food. That is how I classify it. Because how are healthy foods? A food is healthy if it's either really high in protein or really high in fiber. Those are usually what we look for. Okay? Right? That's what we look for. So, with that being said, if you strip those things out, then it's a junk food. So in other words, milk converted to butter is a junk food. Why? All the protein's been removed. Plus most of the vitamins and minerals, like 95% of them. That's a junk food. Vegetable oil. So let's say you take soybean, and you strip it down to refined soybean oil. You've removed all the fiber and you've removed all the protein. That's a junk food. Any refined sugar, including table sugar, that's a junk food. Okay, pretty straightforward because you've taken sugar cane, which is a plant with plenty of fiber, and you've stripped it down, you've cooked it, you've milled it, right? It's always funny how people will say, well, butter isn't because it's an older process, but they'll classify table sugar, which we've been making for hundreds of years, they'll classify that as a refined food, highly refined bad food. It's the same criteria. It's gone through a mechanical process. It separated it out, and it's been molecularly changed slightly in the whole process. The good stuff has been removed. Okay? Very, very little nutritional content. And butter is the exact same thing, right? All the good stuff's been removed. It's the same idea, and it has negative effects. Whereas then people would say, well, what about whey protein? That's refined. Well, yeah, but it's just concentrated protein. So therefore, it's not going to count. So you'd have a little common sense, guys. If you're stripped down to almost no protein or fiber, like both of them gone, okay? That is a junk food. And I think it's a very easy way that makes a lot of sense, right? It's very easy for people to grasp. All right, let's get over to some questions. I guess we have at least one question here. What's your opinion on Alex Leonidas going vegan? I don't have an opinion. I don't think plant-based itself is a problem. I think cutting out all animal protein when in the pursuit of body composition is provably problematic. Look at that most recent study we had, where all those women who went vegan under the care of a dietitian who were experienced lifters all lost muscle. Okay, I think it interferes in a lot of ways. Okay, interferes in a lot of ways. You can work around it, but it's hard. So if it's for ethical reasons, I get it. If he doesn't realize it's going to be problematic, then it's a problem. But if he's doing it for ethical reasons, that's his own business. I'm not going to knock the man for that. Dean, what about cream? Dean, you have your own answer. Have you mechanically separated it by scooping it off the top? Is that a mechanical process? Does heavy cream fit the criteria I just laid out? So I just gave you a criteria, right? Answer the question yourself. Because a heavy cream doesn't automatically separate. You have to take a skimmer and take it off. So that is a mechanical process. Just butter has got another degree of it. Right? But, so Dean, here's the question. Milk has enormous amounts of protein. When you look at the nutrition profile on heavy cream, how much protein is in it? And how much fiber? So you tell me if it meets my definition of junk food. And it should be really easy. Really, really easy. I'm going to classify it as fucking garbage. And you shouldn't eat it. My opinion says me. I don't eat it. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? All right. The intelligent, is it possible to build muscle in a slight calorie deficit of 200, 300 calories? The science says yes. If your training is dialed in, if your recovery is dialed in, if your protein is sufficient. Very small deficits like that, it's been proven in the lab that it is possible to gain small amounts of muscle. And that's ideal. That's why, again, I tell people, they're like, why cut slow? I'm like, so that you gain muscle instead of lose muscle during your cut. Right? We should be gaining muscle year round. If you're serious about lifting, you should be gaining muscle every month of every year, year after year after year, whether you are in a small deficit or not. There is no reason not to. And we come over to, well, quit bulking so fat that you need a fast cut. I mean, that completely resolves the entire idea. Dean, I buy whole milk from a local dairy that's not homogenized. All milk jugs have a naturally separated cream. Okay, Dean. How much protein is in cream? And whoever told you being homogenized is bad? Do you have any evidence of that? So let's set the homogenization aside. All right, your lips are mechanically sucking the cream off the top and leaving the rest. Okay, it's still a mechanical process to where you have separated the cream away from the good stuff. You've left behind all the good stuff. How much protein is in heavy cream? And how much fiber is in it? When you look that up, my answer is going to be the same. It's fucking garbage junk food with almost no nutritional value other than some vitamin A. And I think that that is a fair assessment. And I'm saying that as someone who is absurdly pro-dairy. Danny, no. All right. I mean, Dean, see how easy that is to define? The lack, but let's come over. Dean, because it's not a flip-flop, I've made it very, very clear. Okay, let's go back over to the point. Why is milk a superfood? What makes milk so amazing? The protein, the B12, the magnesium, the calcium, and the potassium. It is an absolutely phenomenal source of all those things, okay? They're even cardioprotective. We know based on the research, they protect you cardiovascularly from the saturated fat that's even in the milk, right? Milk doesn't raise your bad cholesterol in the studies. Whole milk doesn't. And it's been speculated the cardioprotective benefits of those things are why. Whereas when you consume butter, it absolutely hits your lipid profile very negatively, even side by side in the studies when they compare it directly to the milk. Okay, so let's come back over to the point. So you taking the heavy cream, you've removed all 5 of those things, right? Have you not? You've removed all 5 of those things and you've been left with a bunch of empty calories. The fact that the butter is mechanically churned is just a separate another step. It was already junk food. But I think it's pretty obvious that you're just in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, it's a new profile. I should have checked the date on your profile. Made a brand new profile just to argue. All right, and this should be very, very clear, guys. It should be very, very clear. I mean, this is an easy way to define junk food. Again, anything that has been processed and the end product, because processing itself is not bad. I want to be clear. And the reason I say process, because there are some naturally occurring foods that are very low in those things that are high in nutrition. That's the only reason we need to mention the processing, okay? So let's be clear that any food that is processed in such a way that lowers protein or fiber and that the end product is extremely low in both protein and fiber. It's a very clear definition and it works for all practical purposes. Because you can generally assume that consuming much of any of that food is going to lead to potential health problems. And it's certainly not going to be ideal for body composition. Because what do we want more of in our diet? Protein and fiber. And usually when you strip either one down out of a food, you almost every single time lose what? You lose vitamin and minerals. Now, could there be exceptions to this rule? Sure, there's exceptions to every rule. But if you are pursuing some good guidelines to determine if something is a junk food or not, you should either very, very closely moderate it or avoid it. That's a fantastic rule. It will simplify your life. So again, I'm simply trying to help people. Like, people hear that and they want to argue instead of saying, wow, that's really helpful. That could be a useful guideline for me to follow. Thank you. Free, useful guideline that makes sense. And they want to argue. So clearly, the people who then want to argue that are not interested in helping people or improving their own life in any way. And so they're just bad people, right? That's how I define a bad person. Someone who has no desire in any way to help other people or themselves or improve anyone's life. You're just a bad person. That's really simple. See, again, very simple guideline. Either you have a desire to make the world a slightly better place, gosh, at least improve your own life to some extent, but definitely to improve the lives of other people in some, at least small manner, be some help to humanity on some level, right? And anyone with no desire to do that is, bad person, especially if their goal is to interfere with it. So, if someone's over here helping people and you choose to interfere with literally just helping people with some useful stuff, that makes you a bad person. Pretty straightforward. Because that's one of those that's objectively helpful. Like, there's not a zero-sum game where someone wins and someone loses. I'm sorry, I guess I'm wrong. The junk food industry, Hershey's loses. Okay, so I suppose I'm wrong, right? The intelligent, is TRT a good idea after getting tested for low testosterone or free testosterone is trying to be naturally increased? No, I think it's a good idea at that point. See what your doctor says, obviously. But here's my question. If you come back with clinically low testosterone, okay, and it's not because you're really morbidly obese, you're not going to increase your testosterone naturally. So that would be my question. So if you come back with 250 nanograms per deciliter, and that qualifies you for TRT, okay, and you're not really fat, like let's say you're only 22%, 23% body fat, not something 30, not 40, not 50, right? You're not 400 pounds, right? Objectively speaking, what lifestyle interventions are you possibly going to be able to accomplish that's going to add 100 nanograms per deciliter to put you in the low end of the healthy range? You're at 250, dude. What possible lifestyle interventions could even do that? I mean, I'll wait for your answer. If you have ideas, I'm very happy to hear it. But I'm going to tell you, I can't think of any lifestyle interventions that are going to boost you up. And there's definitely nothing that's going to take you to 400 or 500, which is really that nice healthy range where you really want to be. The only way you're jumping from 250 to that is if you're 400 pounds and you cut down to 185. That's about the only possible lifestyle intervention that's going to do that. So the intelligent answer, because your name is the intelligent, at that point is that's the point where you go, yes, I need some health interventions. Yes, I need to be healthier. Yes, I should probably work on it, but I probably need to go on a prescription from the doctor at the same time. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. Okay, Just says, happy Thanksgiving, Coach. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Just. Intelligent of 5'8" at 185, then you're probably not morbidly obese, right? So if you came back tested low, and how old are you then? And are you in shape? I assume you work out? So that would be my question. What did your test come back in nanograms per deciliter? How old are you, and do you lift weights and stuff? 36, work out 5 days a week. Okay. What'd your numbers come back as? Give it to me in nanograms per deciliter or go convert it in a calculator real quick. But I'm already thinking, dude, if you work out already, so that's the biggest chunk. You're in a healthy body weight range for your height. You're starting to get a little older. Like you're over 35. You're coming back under 300, definitely under about 275 on that nanograms per deciliter. That's the point where I'm going to say I would personally, at that point, recommend medical intervention with your doctor. What would be my advice? Now, your doctor may disagree, in which case, obviously, you follow the advice of a fitness professional. But again, looking out for your best interests. Now, me personally, if you were to ask me, I think taking testosterone was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But again, my personal life experience and that of many people who I'm close to in my life. Out of all the men I know who utilize testosterone below extreme abuse amounts, so I'm going to say we'll call abuse amounts anything over 1 gram a week. Okay. So let's take it to 1 gram or less. And 1 gram is a lot. That's way dramatically multifold higher than therapeutic. I would say positive to negative experiences, 19 out of 20 people has been positive experiences in my normal conversations with people. Cool. Can you convert that to nanograms per deciliter in a calculator for me? Because that's what we use in the US. And I don't have the nanomole per liter reference range memorized. Hi, Jason. Do you consider a strong or 135 by 10 behind the neck press? Yeah, especially if it's full range of motion, that's pretty legit. If it's just to the top of your head, no. But if you're coming down anywhere near the traps or touching the traps, I'll give you a nod on that one. Pretty respectable. Yeah, I used to do behind the neck presses. I used to do them standing though. Akandi, I do more or less stick to a program. I have an outline. And I change details on most of my clients' stuff week to week also. How to decompress the spine, do some reverse hypers. But yes, Francis, I used to do behind the neck presses. I think, I don't remember, but I know I used to use at least a full plate for sets of 10 on camera while standing, all the way to the traps. I kind of wish I had the mobility to do that again. I mean, that would be really cool. Maybe that could be a goal to rebuild my shoulder mobility to where I could do behind the neck presses. I think behind the neck presses are great if you can do them. Yeah, there were clips. I mean, I'm struggling to even imagine myself being able to do that again. It would be pretty cool. I don't know, man. That would be almost like goals, right? Like you see the wheels in my head starting to turn. A hamster wheel. Athlete scared the whole world. But here's the thing. Michael Hearn does them, doesn't he? And he got vampire level longevity. I think he might be a vampire, to be honest. It's possible. Just saying. How's he staying that young? How's he staying that young and fit and strong in his 50s? Something's not right. Yeah. You mean 113 nanograms per deciliter? Dude, that is crazy low. Oh man. The intelligent. Bro, if mine ever came back that low, I would not leave the doctor's office till he gave me an injection that day. There is no way. Assuming you change that to nanograms because you typed the nanomole again. If that's nanograms per deciliter, I wouldn't spend a single second of my life at that level ever for any reason. If my doctor wouldn't prescribe it that day, I'd go find a guy at the gym the same day. No. Oh, Jesus, no. You will never be at a normal level. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. There is no way you will be at a normal testosterone again ever the rest of your life if you came back at that level. Okay. Jason, what do you think of Hydrox? I don't know what that is. Oh, Hydrox. That's a new word that I have never seen or heard in my entire life up until this exact moment. That's what I think about it. So I guess I could say I don't think about it at all. So what type of sport is it? It's like CrossFit, so why don't they just call it CrossFit? Is it trying to compete with an already existing sport doing the same thing? I don't know, maybe Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, right? It could be that sort of thing. Brand versus brand. Brand versus brand. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to investigate it at some point. Opinions on CrossFit. You're asking me a very vague question. Could you be specific? So are we talking about the sport CrossFit, like the CrossFit Games? Are we talking about CrossFit culture? Are we talking about individual boxes? What are we talking about? GPP is good for GPP. No, you don't have to join a CrossFit box or compete in the CrossFit Games to get general physical preparedness. That's a very expensive way to get just GPP. You go to CrossFit for the culture and the environment and the group environment of doing GPP. But yeah, it can totally work. I think it's pretty good overall. Like I would honestly say if someone wanted to get into shape, CrossFit's a good way to do that. Right? It's a good way to do that. And I think the CrossFit Games at this point are a legit sport. It's definitely a legitimate sport. And I think it's turned into a pretty decent one. Now, people argue about the risk, but that's true of any elite sport. I mean, if we're going to say the CrossFit Games are risky and therefore it's bad, then American football needs to go away. Boxing needs to go away, and rugby all need to go away because those are all objectively more dangerous than the CrossFit Games. So if that's going to be a reason to pew it, I've never tried CrossFit. I know a lot of people who do though. My favorite sports, probably powerlifting, I guess. I don't know that I have a favorite sport. I like to just watch certain sports in general. I'm not as big on team sports. I like to watch more individual sports. I actually enjoyed some of the boxing going into the Tyson Jake Paul fight. I actually enjoyed watching it. I would actually consider watching a little more boxing after that. You know? Yeah, I found that genuinely enjoyable. So out of the most recent sports I've watched anything, I can honestly say I enjoyed watching some of that boxing more than some other, like as far as recent sports, I actually really enjoyed that. I might nod in that direction, become a boxing fan, you know, might happen. We'll see. Got all them veins, guys. Got them cock arms, man, like Todd Strange used to say. Got it, man. It's all hard and vascular like a cock. Hey, Jason, I really enjoyed the video today. How can we be reaching the 315 bench? I'm currently working on that goal. Would you say muscle mass is the biggest predictor relative to your leverages? Okay. So which doctor? Since you can't change your leverages, right? You're born with them. Your bone structure is set, at least with our current level of technology. So I don't want to discount that because that is an enormous predictor. On multiple people who have identical bone structures, yes, muscle mass would be the biggest predictor. By far, the biggest predictor would be upper body muscle mass. Matt says, Jason, I'm Canadian. We got to get you into the hockey. I don't know about that, man. Happy Thanksgiving, Jason. I work in retail. It was a complete nightmare. Bro, I know, man. I went in just to get a little milk. And it was a little bit crowded. I was restocking on my stuff, you know. I grabbed some extra beef, though. We grabbed some extra beef. All right. So quick stop, and man, it was crowded, and that was earlier. It's like, whew. That was rough. No, I'm joking. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't really that bad. It was definitely crowded. You know, here's the thing, you know, with that. Here's the thing with that. The worst part was not that, is when I got in the parking lot and I'm in the one-way parking lots, there was a car broke down that had to be towed, and it blocked everyone. Akandi, I've never claimed to have been a boxer. I've never made that claim. Get out of here. Why don't you arch much on the bench press? Because it's too much trouble. Too hard on my back. I could probably learn to arch more if I need to for powerlifting, if I want bigger and bigger numbers, I guess. Future legend, if a client has knee pain when squatting deep, how would you address it? Address the tendons and address the hamstring weakness. We train around it, but you need to fix those things. Right? They probably have weak hamstrings, and they probably need some blood flow and recovery for the patellar tendon, barring some other separate pathology. Make sure that there's not something going on with their ACL or meniscus or something like that. Tomorrow I'm going to cheat on my diet for the first time in 2 months. Is there anything I should do? Yeah. Here's what you should do. Work out that morning, preferably a leg day or like a back day, something big. Right? Create a deficit. Fast up until the feast. The first plate, make sure it's lean protein and vegetables. Okay? So now you've lifted weights, created a need. You walked in fasted, created a need. You started with the foods that are going to give you the muscle, and it will fill you up. That's where you start. After that, go ham. Go hard in the plates. like Waka Flocka Flame. All right. Matt says, hit a recomp swoosh today, coach. Lean, bulking, dropped 1.5 pounds and gained strength in the gym today. Leaner and stronger on Team Blaha, playing the long game. That's how we do it, Matt, right there. That's how we do it. Play the long game. All right. I don't know how much longer I'm going to run this one. 45 people, man. Do you still agree on the big 5 strength centers you may be as your lifetime goal for a natural lifter? Maybe. I don't know that we need the overhead press in there. Take that out. It's kind of redundant. No future. I need to continue to get leaner, so I'm sitting this one out and saving it for Christmas because I have 2 different Christmas family get-togethers. So I want to save those for some cheat days, right? Because I'm probably going to cheat pretty hard. The 100-pound, we could take the 100-pound. I've always said we could replace that with 10 plus bodyweight pull-ups. Fine. You know? And look, if you can bench 315, squat 405, deadlift 500, and do 10 pull-ups, not chin-ups, but pull-ups, overhand pull-ups, I say you're in a pretty good spot. You're in a pretty good spot. That's a good goal for a non-power lifter, natural to aim for. Devin Brady, bro, you're looking better and better as you age. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. There was just someone else in here saying I didn't. It's so funny, but I've been getting so many compliments in real life and online. So, that's when you know it, you're winning. You know you're winning when internet's giving you props. People who come in and say they used to be a hater are giving you props. People in real life are giving you props. And then the people who really hate you get really upset about it and claim the opposite. You're living in their head rent free at that point. You just want, hey, intelligent, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the donation. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll give you a shout out and a forearm shot for that. Bro. All those years of bulking you did paying off. The future, you know my position. Had I just stayed lean and just made lean gains, I would possibly be even better off. My opinion. But either way, the years of training and the years of protein are paying off. Any way we break it down, whether I'm right or you're right on that part, the gains do show. And the density shows. So again, that's something I point out too. All that heavy lifting, it just creates a certain density, right? So even as I go into more pump work and get leaner, I'm going to have that myofibular growth and all that density from those years of heavy lifting. It's all going to be there. Tried rear delts on the high cable today instead of dumbbells on an incline bench and felt them way more. Do you think, dude, that works great? Let's see. I got rid of the punching bag protein shakes. How did Matt get it? So he's got a channel membership. So if you go over, you can just be a channel member, right? It costs like $3 a month. Oh, Francis, don't worry. I don't listen to him. We all know better. Still have 2 more of those Black Friday slots open, though, by the way, guys. Although there is an application in for one of them. See if he gets back with me. He hasn't seen my response on the stuff, but it was a full application. So, but like I said, I may run them past that if more people fill up before the time is up. I might take more. You might take more. And Radish, if don't acknowledge them. That just feeds them. Like your comment alone will make that person stay on for an extra month. All right. So even you mentioning them drives them on. It's not useful. So it's actually directly harmful to your stated goal. So you got to remember that people who troll on the internet troll for a reaction. That's it. They want a reaction. They want a response. When they're starved of it, what do they have? You know. Madly, I'm aware, but we don't need to discuss that. Let's stick to the positive, then we don't deal with it because it's not really that much. It's a tiny number of obsessed people. It's a tiny number. So let's get over and talk about positive topics. Let's talk about helping people. Let's talk about helping all of you with your goals. Because that's really what this channel is about. It's about helping people. Strong list, fiber starting strength. If you had to pick between one of the two at this point, I would probably say strong lifts with curls added. Right? Future, of course, I literally have power lifters. Even though my focus is other stuff, I will probably coach power lifters as long as the sport of powerlifting exists and as long as I coach. I will probably always accept powerlifters as clients and prepare them for meets. Oh, Radish, how much does he weigh? I mean, extrapolate it over. Body weight, muscle mass. For those clients, I recommend them get leaner. I can tell you right now, every single current client power lifter I have on the roster who competes is probably down a weight class from when they first hired me. So like one right now, we're now going to working towards his third meet with me. His second meet, we hit his same old numbers, but he went up an age class and dropped a weight class, and we still matched his previous total, his first total with me, which we built into. We hit lifetime PRs, got him on the platform, right? He replicated that same performance 6 months later, but in a lighter weight class and up another age class. So we took that as a win. And then we'll PR him again, probably his next meet coming up. How much cardio would you do while bulking 3 times a week? I think, unless you're doing ultra high training volumes, right? There's probably a point where training volume can surpass your need for cardio. I would still recommend doing something every day, right? And you remember, you should only be lean bulking, Francis. I advocate extremely lean bulks these days. I'm talking a pound a month at most. Madly says, I did squats at school today, but my friends called me, I'm not going to use the word, for saying that it was a workout for girls and people who want big butts. What does that have to do with that? Women like muscular butts on men. All athletes have muscular butts. So the NFL players or Mike Tyson or boxers or all these athletes, is that what they're saying about them? I think these people need to grow up and get with reality. I think that is absurdly immature and short-sighted of them, and quite frankly, ridiculous. Do you not have a football team at your school? They all probably squat. Coach probably makes them squat. Are those people going to go up to all the members of that football team and accuse them of that? How well do you think that would go? I don't think that would work out for them too well. Is sprinting a bad form of cardio? For cardio, yeah, I could make the case for that. Yeah, for that reason. If yes, I decided to powerlift, you think he'd be good with it, it's great bodybuilding. I mean, Jeff has been a pretty good athlete before being a bodybuilder. I don't see any reason why he couldn't be a good powerlifter. Yeah, Lester, I don't think that would fly in Texas. To my knowledge, you've always seen in all the Texas schools down here for high school, and I'm not sure where you live, but dude, it's bench press, push presses, power cleans, squats. And that's almost universal. At least it was for most of my life. You're not getting out of doing them either. All right. Radish, I have no idea how to answer that. I don't know that that's true. And I don't know that brown bears are pound for pound that strong or not. They're big. They got a lot of muscle, so that alone's enough to be strong. Right? Cookie says, hi, Coach. Hey, Cookie. Do you think cleans are actually beneficial, specifically that so many people do not do them correctly? Lester, I'm going to go because they don't do them incorrectly. I said that wrong. They probably are really beneficial for power sports like football. Because you're doing a muscle clean at that point. Muscle cleans for a contact sport like American football, power cleans and muscle cleans, especially the muscle cleans, oh yeah, that'll carry over. Perfecting perfect weightlifting cleans, misallocation of training resources for something like football. So we come over to correct for what purpose? Correct for purposes of competing in weightlifting? Or do you mean cleans perform correctly to make you a better football player to hit people out on the playing field? Because it's going to be two very, very, very different things. I see no problem with a football player doing muscle cleans. Flat bench or overhead press. I'm going to go with flat bench and or incline bench. What's your arm size? Last time I checked, they were 16. I'm pumped. Cookie, I appreciate the donation. I could check them again here soon. I think that would be a good idea. Let me do this extra few weeks of really high volume arm work while I get leaner. And I'll be curious. I'll measure them again and actually see where I'm at. I was at 16 last time I checked. That's not pumped. I don't ever measure anything pumped, right? I had someone else measure my quads because they were like, I bet my thighs are bigger than yours. So I did measure my quads recently, and she was wrong. So my quads came in at 27. 16 lean arm is good. Yeah. Well, because people fake their arm measurements. I don't know. I don't think they really look bigger than 16. Right? Is neck size matched to arm size? Maybe. No, my neck is definitely bigger than my arms. My calves are probably a hair bigger though. So I'm arm specializing at the moment though. A lean 17-inch arm, natural, is absolutely phenomenal. I would say definitely exceptional. I would definitely say superior arm genetics at that point on top of it. Average guy will never pull that off. All right. So generally, if someone is truly natural with a 17-inch lean arm, they have great arm genetics and they have probably trained their ass off in terms of arm exercises. Right? And I think that's a fair statement. All right, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead. My forearms are probably about the same. I measured them, I think, a while back at around 15 or so. I don't know what they are right now. All right. If someone can do 135-pound weighted chin stretch, you think about maybe. But I think they're going to get more out of curls. Remember when I was weighing like 230 and doing 100-pound weighted chins and my biceps were still lacking? That should tell you something. But yeah, so there's the forearms at the moment. Oh, the chat disconnected on me. It reconnected. Is it easier to gain muscle at 30 versus 50, assuming both are equal TRT doses and have an equivalent lifestyle? Yes, it is easier to gain muscle at 30. Objectively, it's easier. Do you like Michael Hearn's? I think Michael Hearn gives good advice. Okay, I'm going to be clear on that. We can set aside the fake natty thing. Let's set aside the silly scams, the frog, the duck eggs. Okay, so let's set those aside and let's talk purely about his advice. Just the advice side. Okay. Michael Hearn gives phenomenal advice, both training-wise and nutritionally. He gives great advice. Okay. What does Mike O'Tren run? You want my honest opinion? Are you ready? I think he runs really low test. I think he runs nandrolone in significant amounts, and I think he runs growth hormone. So I think he's a low test, high DECA HGH guy. If I had to gamble, like if there was money on the line and we really found out, and I'm talking real money, that's what I'm going with. And I bet you he gets almost all of it prescribed, so that he is clear and legal. The roundness, the fact that he still has hair, the fact that we don't see the high androgen sides. He's round and full, even when he's on low carbs. Right? We don't see the androgen sides that we would expect from Tren. But look closely. Doesn't he kind of have that DECA look? He doesn't have a true test split, ever. But he does have that 19 Nor type fullness, and he has the hair. But he doesn't have a mess look. He doesn't have that grainy, dry. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you really look at him and think high DHTs? Does he look like my forearms? Or my calves? Everywhere I'm actually lean, it's blaringly obvious. Like anyone who even questions my natty status doesn't know anything. Anyone who knows anything can tell you what I'm on. Like there's no question about it. Like it shouldn't even be. No reasonable person who understands gear would look at that forearm and not know what I'm using. Fair statement. You've been around it a while, Cookie. Same thing when they see my calves. Anywhere where I'm really, really lean. There's only 3 drugs in the world that produce that look in the entire planet. So, I have no idea how much she takes, but we're an hour deep. I'm gonna wind this down. Time to wind this down, guys. So I love all you guys and gals. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you next time.